welcome back. You guys thought you were done with me for the night. You were wrong. So I've got 1 through 10 on the board yet again. This is kind of to keep my thoughts organized. One thing that I've tried to explain to people is the boards came into existence on this channel not for the viewer as much as it was for me. I would make videos. At the end of it, I'd realized I had skipped a few topics I meant to bring up, and I was like, all right, I need to figure out a way to do this. So I started with flashcards. I was using flashcards in videos. Yeah, really high tech. And then other hockey channels started using flashcards. So I thought, okay, and I upgraded to whiteboards. So, and I understand that I'm not the only one that uses a whiteboard, and that's fine. But yeah, that's how the whiteboards come into existence. They're for me to keep me on track. I've now meandered for 45 seconds. Works really well. So 1 through 10 are just this summer. So, because we're around that time of year where new subscribers might be like, hey, so what does he do during the summer? Well, I still make videos every day. That's still a thing. The difference is I do playlists more during the summer than during uh, the rest of the season, obviously. But I learned some things last summer. And so I'm going to make sure that things are a little bit better this summer than last summer, which might mean fewer videos. But hopefully the content gets engaged with a little bit more. And also, you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. One of the reasons this video is being released tonight is I'm starting to formulate what my plans for this off season are going to be. And I'd welcome any feedback, any suggestions that you guys have on what you'd like to see. So first off, we take a trip every summer. My wife and I take a trip during the summer. We take the kids on a trip in the winter during what's usually the All-Star break. It was the Four Nations break this year. Next year it's an Olympic break, so I'm not sure how we're going to approach that because I like to watch the Olympics. So I don't know that I necessarily want to take a trip for a week during that. And if I was going to, it'd have to be early in that Olympic break because obviously I'm going to want to see the medal round and everything, but I'm going to want to watch the games anyways. But the trip's undetermined. There's 2 choices we're looking at. Is either Paris is one that we're considering. Yep, considering Paris, or considering a trip to either Montreal, Toronto, or the east coast of Canada. So either staying within Canada or going over to Europe. I've never been to Europe in my entire life. I think that would be fun. I'm in my 50s. You never know how many more years you're going to be able to travel before your hips and your legs are giving out and all that other fun stuff. So if I can travel, I'm going to be traveling. So that's undetermined as of yet. If we did go to Paris, we would go to Disneyland Paris because we go to Disney, and I'll explain that too. One of the things that there are a couple of things I really like about going to Disney. First off, it's very immersive. It's an immersive experience, and secondly, it's kind of fun being amongst a crowd just faceless. And I'm a person I really like to people watch. When I was in high school, I would go to the mall and just sometimes I'd just sit there and people watch. I got a kick out of watching as somebody was trying to find something and they go store to store to store and I'm like, nope, they didn't find it. Still didn't find it. Nope, still, and now they're leaving. All right, cool. And I know that's mundane, but that's the kind of thing that I like to watch. And so yeah, at Disneyland you have endless swaths of people, and it might be fun to go over to Paris, and it's different in Paris, so that might be kind of fun. I'm thinking about doing a jersey countdown this summer. There are a couple of things though, and I wanted some feedback on this too. Heck, I might even do a poll. Now, years back, I would say kit jerseys. This is a kit jersey. A kit jersey is where a company has a blank version of a jersey and then they attach the logos. So all of these were attached when you order it. So it's made to order. And this is from Royal Retros, where I've gotten some other ones. And it feels like I could include these in a jersey countdown at this point because they're never going to be available any other way. I don't think Fanatics ever makes WHA throwbacks. This is a WHA throwback. And so it feels like, the WHA jerseys being included would mean including kit jerseys for the most part. And so I'm torn on this topic as to whether or not they should just be the ones released by NHL licensed sources or if I should include the kits. I'm not including anything counterfeit. I'm not including anything that I have, and none of the counterfeits are in the background either. Those are all in a I think they're in a storage bin. At some point in time, I'll show you guys the fakes. I've done the fake videos before to kind of give guys an idea of which ones are or aren't. I belong to a couple of Facebook groups where people show jerseys and say, is this real or fake? And I can figure it out right away usually. There are little things to look for. And so if you're on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, you may not see those little things, but they are little things. And one piece of advice I'll give in this video here is, if you find a jersey for sale on eBay, or you find a jersey for sale anywhere really, you can ask them, can I see a picture close up? And if they say no, it's a fake. There's no reason for people to say no if they're selling you the legitimate article. So don't be shy about asking for extra pictures and close-up pictures of certain parts of an item, especially if they want big money for it. But if I do a jersey countdown, I'm not sure how many jerseys would be included. It'll probably be a lot. I'm also, for the entertainment guy, going to do a music countdown. I just haven't figured out whether it's going to be just my favorite songs, which could go, I want to say 2,500. Like, I was thinking 2,000, and then I started writing them all out, and I'm like, this might end up being 2,500. And if your jaw dropped, yeah, I know. I've always been a list person. It's just kind of, it's one of those, like, I understand now that it's one of those neurodivergent things that I have. There's always been little things that back in the day it just meant I was weird. Now I'm understanding that's just neurodivergent as much as it's weird, right? So yeah, the jersey countdown, and then on the other channel there'll be various countdowns going on as well. I want to do a what if series. This is something that people have asked of me before, and I'm thinking this might be a really good time to do a what if series. What if Gretzky doesn't go to LA? What if the Rangers don't win Game 7 in 1994? What if the Canucks had won that? Like, a lot of what ifs that I could go through and how that might have changed things going forward. So I will probably start doing videos like that as we get into, maybe into the Stanley Cup final, that area, and just put feelers out and see how those do. Career videos will be starting up pretty soon. I have been backing those up. Career videos usually don't draw a lot in terms of views, so I want to make sure that if I'm going to put them out there, they have a good chance to perform well. So I give them time to breathe. There's not like videos overlapping with them and all this, which can happen, and I've been doing my best over the last couple of years to make sure that that changes, and especially since a downturn the channel had over the summer and into September this past year, and I'm looking at that and realizing I've got a lot that I can learn. So spacing out the videos is important. Redrafts are an obvious that I like to do, and those will be coming up during the summer. Not a ton. Redrafts too. If this may even work for people who are thinking about running YouTube channels and stuff. If you do a video that does really, really well, you can't go back to the well on it too often or too soon. It will not perform as well, and you'll start seeing those numbers drop off. So redrafts, I try to space them out about once every 2 weeks kind of thing, and try to make sure that there's key big names that are in those redrafts. As interesting as it can be when it's not necessarily a star-studded draft, it's usually interesting for me more so than it is for the viewer. There will be a lot of content on the other channel as well, the entertainment guy. If I can watch a wrestling show, I'll review it. And we're going to some concerts this summer, so we'll be doing reviews for those concerts. I also want to go back to some of the other concerts we have not got the reviews done for and discuss that. One countdown I've wanted to do is the best concerts I've seen, the best bands I've seen live. Spoiler alert, Rammstein and Slipknot are at the top. But yeah, that kind of thing I want to get put out on the other channel. Not a lot of historical content this summer. I'm not intending to do a lot because that really performed poorly last summer. The year-by-year history of the NHL, that performed really, really poorly. So I'm going to do some historical content, but not very much. I know there are people who love the historical videos, and I appreciate it, but what the viewership has told me is that that is the least engaging of the content, so there will be some, but not a lot. I also want to throw in here, too, while we're here, I do members videos, and I have a members section. I also have Patreon. I do not put things in members that I feel like could be mainstream, just the normal videos I do. So I don't like do deep dives into teams and put that out for members. Usually the members videos are either just general basic stuff, almost kind of like this, to be honest, or it's personal stuff that is not related to the channel. Might be stuff in my personal life, might be related to some of the numbers that I've been seeing and some stuff that I'm playing around with in my brain about what to do for the future with the channel, that kind of thing. And so that's what most of the member stuff is. And we had a live stream today. We're starting to get those back on track, and it's different. The member live streams, I think today, our peak, I think we had 11 people in the live stream. and they're just very chill, very relaxed. They go for about an hour. I don't even wear a jersey. I do wear a shirt. I have found that people are alarmed if I don't, but I don't wear jerseys for those. I generally don't wear jerseys now when I'm not on the set. Um, Turns out when you wear jerseys all the time during the day for videos and everything, you feel like wearing t-shirts and sweatshirts off the set. So yeah, the member stuff, it is basically designed for people who decide that they like my content enough to support it monetarily. And so I'm kind of saying, okay, since you have that interest, I'm letting you know a little bit more than what you might see on the channel. So for instance, the last few days I've been struggling with, there's an online friend of mine who I've known for over 20 years, just online, but I still feel like, they're a really good person dealing with some health stuff. And so that's had an influence on my mood over the last few days. Um, but he seems to be a little more chipper and optimistic, so I'm, right there with him and hoping that everything goes well. And if I could punch his doctor, I would, but I don't think that'd help. But at any rate, it's one of those things. But that's the kind of stuff that I put out for members, because I have seen comments every now and then about, oh, it's just, this is all about the money and all about greed, and that's greedy having a members area. I think some may show some greed with their members area. I do get frustrated at times with some content, and it's not hockey related stuff, but channels that I follow, sometimes some of the politics channels that I follow, some of the stuff they have just for members. I may not want to be a member of the channel. In fact, the only one that I'm a member of is Scammer Payback, because I like the work they're doing, and I support it. Anything that gets rid of those telephone scammers, I'm a big fan of. You know the telephone scammers. You know them. When they call you and, hey, how's your cell phone? And we think you're a great customer. How do you know who I am? And then they hang up. So yeah. So that's the member stuff, and then obviously we'll be doing live streams both here in the studio, as well as at meetups. We do live stream the meetups now rather than record them and post them as videos on the channel. They seem to perform better as live streams, and I think it's a more enjoyable experience for me. I think it's more enjoyable for the players. And I think it's great, too, that guys come out and they can, have their buddies after see that they scored a goal. They can, timestamp when that goal took place and all that. So that's kind of fun. And so we'll be doing those this summer. And then I'm still toying around with the idea of doing, like, interview stuff, too. But if I do it, it's probably going to be organic. And it may very well be one of those situations. I could see a situation where if we travel and if I have a chance to interview somebody while I'm in another location, I might take it, but it's going to have to fit in with everything else. I'm picky about when I do certain content. Like, I get asked about, when are you going to do another Bettman phone call video? When the time's right. That's the tricky part, is when I'm going to do that kind of content. It's like the videos where I throw on the referee's jersey and I, do whatever goofy crap I'm going to do. It has to be at the right time. I have to be in the exact right mood for it, or it's not gonna work. There have been times where I've got ready to do something like that. I've started it and then realized no, and then I've gone to something else, like a news video. So that's the plan for the off season for me at this point. If you guys have any suggestions for playlist items, and one of the tricky things with a playlist, and I know with the teams that missed the playoffs playlist, and I'm almost done now, I made sure, one change that I've made this year is I used to have just a template. So I would put all these things on the board and then I would just erase the numbers and replace the numbers with the new team. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm making sure every video is a little bit different. Every video has maybe different numbers on the board, different things I want to highlight. And I think that makes for a better overall experience. So yeah, I'm learning. It is definitely, this whole YouTube thing is something that is a learning process over the last 9 years, and I'm still learning. But it's been an excellent month this past month on the channel, so thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to the off season and what that content's going to bring. And I thought this was a good time to talk about it. It's still May. There's still 8 teams that are technically alive in the playoffs. A couple that are close to being eliminated, but most of them are still alive. Or I guess a few that are close to being eliminated, aren't they? This second round could go by very quickly, and so maybe some of these video ideas will end up being on the channel a little bit sooner than I had intended. One thing that I have tried to do different than the way I used to do it was um, less videos that I'm pre-planning. So for instance, this video here, there was no pre-plan for this. I even said during the live stream for members and patrons today, I was trying to figure out something for a video tonight. And then this is something that I thought of after the Winnipeg Dallas game ended. I thought, why not talk about the summer? It feels summery outside a little bit. And it definitely looks like I'm going to be able to get my street hockey fix soon. So looking forward to that. And it might be kind of fun to start putting things together. But if I'm going to do like a jersey countdown, which doesn't normally attract a ton in the terms of views either, but it's fun to do. And they're relatively easy videos to put together. And then, it doesn't answer the question of how many jerseys does this guy have? It's the question I get all the time. And my answer is, I don't know. I don't. If somebody wants to come over and count them, okay, sure. But no, please don't. At any rate, thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. Very happy with how things have been going. I do hope we get at least a game 7 or 2 out of this second round. I always feel like game 7s are this incredible, exciting event. And it'd be nice to have at least a couple of game 7s. I'm not sure we're going to get game 7s this year, but maybe. Maybe in round 2. Maybe we get them in the conference final. Maybe we're going to have one of those playoffs, and we haven't had one of these playoffs in a while, where it just feels like everybody wants to get everything over with quickly. The playoff that I always think of with that is 95. 1995 playoffs were one that it just felt like once the series started going in one team's direction, it was over. And it just felt like everybody wanted to get it done, which, I mean, that season was lockout shortened, so maybe they did just want to all go home. But at any rate, there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated as always. Hit like and subscribe in the event that you may not have done so already. I also want to say that I am still doing the ad breaks the way that YouTube has basically said YouTubers should. YouTubers have not been all that happy about it, but when I look back at all of my old videos, it is clear that there were a lot of times when I was manually putting in the ad breaks, there was nothing being served, and that does directly impact my income. The other thing I wanted to mention too, and I've mentioned this in videos before, yes, there are bot comments that come up immediately when every video goes live. Popular channels seem to have that. Channels at a certain level. My second channel, never see them. I never see them. They're not there. The Entertainment Guy never gets that. So not popular enough on the Entertainment Guy channel. But I block them and I remove those comments immediately. Just report them, block them, and I do my best to get them out of there. And they're back to the next video anyways. It's something that YouTube's aware of. I've looked into it. I've done all kinds of research into how to get rid of them. There doesn't seem to really be a way of doing it. Like I could not allow comments for a while after a video goes live, but I don't think that works either. I have a feeling that once the comments are allowed, it's probably automated for them to all do that. So they're going to spew whatever out there. I've started catching certain words that they have in their comments that if I block them, those comments go into automatically held. So you guys don't see nearly as many as you otherwise would, but they're just as irritating to me as they are to the viewer, and I apologize for that. I will be very glad when Google/YouTube figures this out and they go away. But thank you guys for your patience. Thank you for your time. It's greatly appreciated, and I will talk to you again soon.